is enabled.
Day 3
Yep.
of the, you might have to lean forward a little bit, you're half getting cut off,
There we go.
of the 100-hour May Fast Challenge. Blaine, how you feeling?
Feeling fine, honestly. Like, chilling. It's like day 3, all the, like, hungers. Like, I know it's a weird thing. Hunger is a lot quieter.
It's like more of like a gentle whisper,
Yeah.
seducing you towards food, rather than a ravenous lover.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's almost like it's just resignation at this point. Because, like, it's almost like if you know when you're going to have your next meal, it just stops bugging you about it.
Okay.
So it's not like, it's like if somebody was like, here is a plate of food that I have made, and it's, surprise, I'm not like ravenously hungry to eat right now.
Okay.
Whereas if I know that, like, oh, dinner's coming at this exact time, it's like an hour before, like doing the intermittent fasting, like dinner to dinner.
Yeah.
It's like when I know my dinner's going to be at 6 o'clock, by like 4 o'clock, my stomach's like, oh, you're about to eat. We're about to go. And it, like,
Feed me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's almost like painful, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's like, oh, it's just strong desire to like, oh,
but
food is coming.
No desire. We had a plate of food right here. Nothing.
No.
No.
Yeah, because it's like I said, it's a weird thing.
Super weird. It's way easier than I thought it would be. Like I was like I watch like survival shows, and I'm like I can't make it through an episode without snacks. So I didn't think I'd be able to make multiple days without eating.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive in. We talked about this on the first day on the 25-minute
One that nobody could see
that no one
because it
could see.
disappeared.
Just stopped recording because Facebook Live doesn't like laptop version, but likes cell phone version.
Yeah, apparently.
So what initially got you into doing fasting?
It was weight loss as a method for weight loss. It was like, hey, look, here's one of the things that can help regulate your calories is just don't eat except for dinner to dinner. And then because your stomach's only so large, you're not going to be able to get enough. If you're eating, healthy food, you're not going to be able to get enough calories in one meal.
And then you'll lose weight.
Then you'll lose weight because you're creating a deficit. Yeah. So it's kind of this easy way to just be like, oh, dinner to dinner, and then it was just matched with what was it? Meat and greens or something like that. Like it was kind of an odd one. So it was like no sugars, but you could still have veg.
Okay.
So it's like meat and veg only, and then so it was really hard to eat an excessive amount of calories having just, baked. Basically, it was not fried in grease.
Yeah.
So you could grill it on like the barbecue outside, or you could bake it, and that was about it for your meat. So there's almost no oil in it other than the fat you get off the meat naturally, and then the veg. And it was like, oh hey, and then if you do this while intermittent fasting, there's like no way you're gonna exceed your calories for the day.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that, and it worked. It was a start. Start of a long process.
Did you try other diets before that?
I mean, like Atkins or something like that.
I mean, just any diets?
I didn't really follow.
Like calorie counting or anything like that?
I mean, I was counting calories to actually make sure I ate enough.
Oh, okay.
And that was the worst part about it, actually.
Yeah.
Is because when you come down to eating your full calorie intake in one meal, and it's like, oh hey, you're also working out, so you need like 2,200 calories.
Yeah.
Doing that in one meal off just veg and meat it was turned into a chore, honestly.
Yeah,
it was literally like, oh, I've got 200 more calories that I need to eat.
You didn't want any more food.
Yeah.
Like, how about before? Like you said, originally you wanted to do it for weight loss. Like, what did you try any diets before, like or calorie counting before you decided to do intermittent fasting?
No,
because you've been overweight for like a bit, like because you're an athlete in high school.
Yeah.
You're an athlete, elite soldier in the military.
Regular soldier, but yeah.
Elite soldier. And then now our standards of like fitness and like our world. Like
I was the Corps of Engineers. We weren't that elite.
At boot camp, you were in good shape. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's in good shape at boot camp for the most part.
And so then, at what point did you start to gain the weight? And then at what point? And so from like being fit, strong to like this realization of like, okay, I need to do something about my weight. What was that timeline like?
Yeah, I mean, I was 185 coming out of high school.
How
as
tall?
a senior. 5'11".
Stacked. Yeah, lean.
So 185, and then when I went to boot camp, I actually dropped down to 175.
Whoa. Okay.
So I lost weight, but then it pretty much came right back.
Okay.
At your secondary school, that was six months of secondary school for the military, AIT they call it for the Army. And it was just like you go and you deploy, and you're
How many deployments did you go into?
I did one to Afghanistan.
How long was it? 6 months.
I did it 1 year.
1 year. One year deployment. Okay, so you're deployed in Afghanistan for a year.
Yeah, I joined during the surge, so it was like 1 year deployments for the Army for the most part. My brother had some that were longer.
Yeah.
Like they extended his out because he's infantry. But yeah, and then at that point it's like, hey, most of my job was sit behind a desk. It's not really, you've got the deployment gym. Some of them are great. Some of them are concrete. Literally, the guys just get ingenuity and they just form some concrete over a piece of wood or something, and they have something that they can lift.
You wasn't up to your standard, and then.
Well, I was never big in the weightlifting anyway, but so you can't really run as much.
Yeah.
It's like,
you're not gonna go run around the block in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of sitting in front of a computer for the mapping side because it's a lot of satellite viewing and stuff like that, and then start gaining weight, but you can't gain too much because you still have to do height weight.
Okay.
And then get back, and then I'm in the reserve, so I had to maintain that slightly. I think 193 was like, oh, you could be up to 193, and that was like their allowance. That's the overweight.
So you weigh 193 then, right?
Yeah. Basically, it was like, oh yeah, you're going to be right around 190 to 195 throughout the year. Because in the reserves, you only do height weight twice a year. So
yeah, it's kind of the kind of way life is. It's like, what's the standard? Okay, well, I'm going to go to that point, right?
Yeah. And then 2016, I was out of the reserves, and so it was like, well, now it's just like it's just going to creep up, and it's just creep. Every job is just kind of crept up more and more. Because it's like, oh, not doing as much the physical activity that you were doing before, but it feels like it because I was working in the shipyard.
Right.
And so it's like I feel like I'm working out more, and I should be burning more calories.
Right.
But you're actually not. That's the weird part about it.
You weren't. Yeah. You were retaining this inflammation, this fat gaining as the years went on, even though you were working physically demanding jobs.
Yeah. And then I switched to an office job, which is like the worst. Because then you're just like, I'm eating for this manual labor job, but I'm not doing manual labor anymore. And I went from like 220 to 240 real quick.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was like within a year and a half of changing jobs. Wow. I went up 20 pounds. So
20 pounds a year. This is a gradual process. Like you don't even notice it. So it's just day in, day out. And then, so what were you at your heaviest before you started doing intermittent fasting?
240 was the heaviest ever.
240. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and when I hit 240, because when you're not trying to do anything, you don't really get on the scale like regularly. So it's just like, oh hey, I haven't gotten on the scale for 3 months. Last time I looked at the scale, it was like 234.
Yeah.
And then it's like 3 months of just atrocious eating.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, I'm now 240.
Yeah.
And like that's 230 was like pushing it already, and I saw 240, and I was like, oh, I'm just a fat ass.
Yeah. You can swear. I swear all the time. Yeah. No one said anything about it. It's like I made a book called "Get Paid and Get Laid." Like no one has complained.
That's true.
I think we're completely desensitized on like swearing or any kind of obscenity.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, 240 is like, all right, I am definitely fat now. So, and that was two and a half, 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Probably about that time frame. And that's when I was like, all right, well, we're going to do that. And I did, it's been a roller coaster. So it's like I dropped down to 200, 205. I got down to 205.
Wow.
Doing the 15-day fast.
Okay.
Yeah, because you drop about 15 pounds.
That's a long day. That's a lot of deficit. Yeah.
And then, of course, you gain, like I said, it's like 2 to 3 pounds of microbes. Gut microbes that you'll immediately gain back once they start repopulating, because like first all the crap leaves your body, and that happens fairly quickly, and then you'll start losing the microbes after. I don't even know if we're going to start experiencing that. That's like kind of a oily, tarry kind of poop when the dead microbes are getting passed.
Okay.
It's just a little small, very small though, because you don't have anything, so it's not. You're just literally passing out microbes, and so it's so small. You're literally like, oh, I feel like I need to use the bathroom, and you go in there, and it's just like, bloop,
little tiny bit. Just like, the inside lining of the stomach and all this junk that's kind of within it.
Yeah. Then it just passes through, and then you're like, all right, that was weird, and it looks weird. And you're like, why do I have anything left to poop? I haven't eaten anything. Yeah. It's like, well, I found out later that's what it is. Your microbes are dying.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then you gain them back. So it's like you first 2 to 3 pounds, you're just losing.
He gained them back.
Stuff in your system, and then I did a bulking thing. So I was like, I'm not going to pay attention to what I'm eating. Okay. And I just increased my workouts a lot, and then I went like right back to 230 pretty much.
Big swing again.
Yeah. Well, it took a while.
Yeah.
So I was like with working out.
So, and I want to hit on a couple of points here because before we get, because you have a lot of reasons, right? You know, I have a job and that job was inactive and this is what happened and, you know, my food was bad or I was not working as hard or I was working hard but I was eating bad food. And the thing is that I know about Blaine is that when he was younger, I got a significant injury to the upper cervical spine, like where it's like your pelvic balding thing. It's like this memory that you have. Yeah. And so no doubt that directly damaged the vagus nerve. So all this stuff that Blaine is saying is true. But if you ask and you talk to people and they're like, well, I didn't do this and I didn't do that and I didn't gain a bunch of weight, it really has to do with vagus nerve function because the fat pattern on men specifically is the distribution of the vagus nerve. So if someone has insufficient in the vagus nerve, they're going to be more sensitive to that inflammatory process, right? And so I just want to kind of catch everybody else up because really it's like we can have two people that work the same job, eat the same diet. One person will have a whole bunch of weight gain and the other person will be like, I must be healthy. But really it's like they're just as unhealthy. They just didn't put on the weight like you did. You kind of have like this physical like thing that's like, look at this thing going on in front of you that you, it's kind of hard. I mean, it's easy.
Yeah, I get a very instant reaction when I start eating bad food.
Yes.
When I say bad food, I mean like, you know,
artificial process.
Process. Yeah. If I'm,
bad food.
Yeah.
Good food is seasonal things that you would eat in nature.
Yeah.
Outside of that, bad.
Yeah. Right.
I use the word poison. Apparently, people don't like that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like pizza, burgers, teriyaki. You know. Yeah. I still do the teriyaki is like a cheat. You just order a teriyaki bowl and then you just don't eat the rice.
Okay.
You get the meat off the top.
Yeah, I get that.
The sauce is still sugar, but
yeah.
It's like
and you. Oh, sorry, that chair is broken.
Yep.
Sorry. Play it off. Okay, so the fast forward. Now we guys a little bit of the background on Blaine's challenges up to this point, and then kind of his foundation, and then where his awareness then brought him to fasting, and then he started off with intermittent fasting, which is really, really kind of derived for how we would eat in a wintertime scenario as a species. There wouldn't be a lot of food around. We'd eat once a day as we caught prey, and then we divide amongst our tribe of people, right? So that's why intermittent fasting works. That's why it works to burn fat, because that's how we would live in winter. And this is why also, like with Atkins got so popular, because basically they looked at populations up in Alaska and northern Canada and they're like, look at these people that only eat fat and protein and they just lose weight and they don't have lower cardiovascular disease, they have all these things.
Yeah.
But you come down here, it doesn't hold the same. So I think it doesn't hold the same effect. So I think there's something to do with like the environmental temperature also. Colder temperature people, that is like ideal for that intermittent fasting kind of long-term solution. Versus like the hot climates like the Dominican Republic is like where blood sugars are high all the time. Yeah. So fast forward to day 3 now. So we've had 2 different experiences. Blaine was like, no problem, right? Not hungry.
Yeah.
Easy. Blaine also gets submerged in ice cold water and is like, this is not a big deal. So there's something special about Blaine. He has conquered a piece of neuroanatomy.
I definitely got the Nordic blood in me.
Yeah, that's right. You crave being by water too, right?
Yeah.
My wife has like sent me an article the other day about grounding and the effects of the salt water. I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that because Blaine told me that.
Yeah.
And how it's like Nordic people are like called to that. They need it. It's like in their blood.
I don't know about need it, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'm out on the water all the time anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, in my experience with intermittent fasting, I'm never hungry. I'm just never full. And so this is one of the reasons why I got turned on to this idea of like being able to experience more joy with kind of freshening your dopamine receptors in the brain. But then also, like, I was hoping to retrain my gut response because I was the same. Like, I worked construction out of high school, and you just eat, just like as much as you can, and it just gets turned into strength. And and then I am a marathon runner, so same thing. It's like I run, 10 miles in the morning, 6 miles this morning, so I was a little baby.
And everything tells you to eat.
Yeah,
like
right.
when I was in the Army, it's like you're going to eat these 3 meals a day, and you're going to eat it.
Yeah.
Like, especially in basic, they actually force you to eat.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like you got to get it down.
Yeah,
get out.
Well, you got to get down. You got to get down quick. But it's like you're going to eat. You're going to eat.
Yeah.
Like that's a requirement. So it's like, oh, you get used to eating 3 times a day. It's weird.
And it's almost like a training that has occurred, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't know if you've done much research into like how our meal structure got like developed.
I don't know
in the United
why
States.
ours got developed into 3 times a day, but I know that most places, most modern countries only eat 1 or 2 times a day.
Yeah.
As like 2 larger meals instead of 3.
The history's fascinating.
But I know you don't want to eat more than, I know for like dental reasons, you don't want to constantly have food on your teeth all the time.
No, it makes sense, especially the food that we eat now. So the original like eating structure that we have now is based on a farming situation, where it's like get up in the morning, have a big meal before the sun, and then you work all day or half the day until the heat of the day, have another big meal, and then work out the rest of the day, and then at the end of the day have another big meal, and then go to sleep. That's why I was built that way. Except we aren't. It's kind of like how we just talked about. Like our activity level doesn't support that trained eating process. So So for me, like what I've experienced on day 3. Well, first of all, last night I did not sleep well at all. I just laid in bed and just ran through all the mistakes I've made for the last several years and in business and in life. And I got a lot of them too. So there's this process of like just absolute rage, just laying there like, oh my gosh, I made so many mistakes. But then I was reflecting on it, and like really part of the process of doing a fast is, and going to biblical context also, it's like they say like pray and fast, right?
Yep.
Because you focus on what you want to do, and your brain is now gearing towards that subject. Yep. And then when you don't get food, you don't get your reward, your brain says, you better do it better. And then it upgrades itself. Yep. And that's why the dopamine production gets better after doing a fast. So it was an interesting thing to like experience I have some big goals, and I see some especially now, like the official White House website now says that, everything during COVID was a lie, and they lied directly to you. And the people that got just absolutely crucified and their life and business destroyed, it wasn't an apology, but it was felt pretty close, right? Yeah. And so now us kind of warriors for wellness during the whole pandemic, and you were one of them too. You had quite a few conflicts based on your choices and your homeschooling and your counter-narrative lifestyle of like, no, I'm going to do what God has called us to do, not what the medical profession has told us that we have to do with threats. And so it was like, because my goal is to light up the world one well-adjusted family at a time. And the only way that happens is by educating people and getting people back into a healthy place. And so it was not a fun process to go through. And even this morning, like just absolute rage. But then after the rage, it's like this, like, it's almost like this focus. I don't think I've been this productive in here.
I was just saying, I was killing it this morning.
So rage, but followed by peace and productivity. And I think people are going to be here in a couple more minutes. Any other final thoughts you would say for someone that was going to decide? Because knowing if you can almost like think back to like when you did them first, because you had your relationship with food is not good, right? It's been your struggle. Yeah. And so it's a bit, if you can think back to that first time doing a long fast, like what were some of the things that you would have to tell yourself or like to cognate through it to like push through? Knowing now it's easy, but if you can like go back to the like first couple times.
So yeah, I mean, at this point, if anybody's still following us for the day 3, majority of people don't have any more cravings after day 2. And me, it's after day 1.
Day 1,
so
done.
Yeah, yesterday was kind of like, you have this, like I said, the hunger is like, it gets quiet. Like, it's like, I could eat. Like, if you were to kill, like, again, it's that, like, if you were to kill something and it was, go through the process, cook it, and if it was there, I could eat, but it's not like, I want you to eat right now, kind of thing. And so it's just like that. Yeah, I could. Like right now, I feel like, I could eat, but It's just a hard thing to describe because it's just such a difference in the normal, like, I'm going to die if I don't eat right now kind of feeling.
So like doing a 4-day fast would be really good for someone who like has struggled with snacking.
Yep.
Or someone who has struggled with like meal portion control, or someone that like is like a nighttime eater when they know, and we know all this stuff isn't good for us, but we still do it, right?
Yeah.
So that by really it's
good for also the kind of food you eat, because basically your gut bacteria is now empty by day 4, so you are starting fresh. So any bacteria that might have been giving you cravings, I know some of the gut signals are coming from the bacteria, telling your body what kind of food to put in your mouth.
Yeah.
Those aren't there.
Yeah.
When you finish this, 4.5 days later, the gut microbes are dead.
Yeah, interesting.
So you are starting with a clean slate of whatever you put in your mouth. So like me, I'm already planning like the kind of meal that I'm going to eat when I get off the fast.
Yeah. I'm planning expensive bourbon on Friday.
Yeah.
And I think we have, how many people do we have doing this too? I think just one other person, besides Chelsea, but she had bourbon. So I'll have to message Connie. She wants to have some celebratory bourbon. That's a good point too to bring up, because oftentimes people talk about probiotics, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to have probiotics, and they think of it as like a deficiency of the good bacteria, but actually what you have is an overgrowth of the bad bacteria.
Yeah.
And that's really what Blaine's talking about with then flushing out, is like getting rid of all that bad bacteria that's overgrown, because it's just like anything.
You're getting rid of everything. On a 4-day, there's not much even of the good bacteria in there. It's just a remnant, because the way bacteria, it's constantly trying to repopulate, so it'll dwindle. And so there's a significant loss of gut bacteria, and then you get to start fresh.
So maybe that's going to be what we talk about tomorrow, is like planning coming off of the 4-day fast, and then like how to optimize of that. Probably not bourbon. Probably that's not the...
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay. All right.
Well, tomorrow's the last day, the last full day of the fast.
Yeah.
Where we don't have to eat. But we should talk about the coming off the fast.
Yeah, that's good
Friday.
for retraining.
Yep.
Got to reset and then retrain.
Yep.
And then really, the main benefit with all this is optimizing vagus nerve function. So if you're a member here watching this, because we're going to do this probably once a quarter or once every 4 months, as seems to be the best timeline for doing it. It's like really optimized, like getting adjusted a bunch while you're doing it, because it's retraining the vagus nerve to receive signals from your body. So that signal of like, oh, I'm not full, that's not real, can then get retrained away.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Like imagine like how life changes that could be for someone that struggled with food forever. But then while they go through this process, I'm not hungry anymore, and then that becomes normal. So then they now know just eat when their stomach actually needs food.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, I think we're good for today.
Day 3. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.